I'm Mark Gilbert here. Thanks for clicking in. In this video, we're going to be talking about perfectly practicing inaction. Like all the videos on this channel, they're designed to give you tools and ideas for assisting with our spiritual evolution. Hope you like it. If so, be sure to hit that subscribe button to let YouTube know you like what we're doing here. Perfectly practicing inaction sounds like an oxymoron, right? But it's actually a spiritual concept that once you grasp it deeply can have a great meaning for your life. Wondering why you should watch this video? Well, we're going to discuss what it means to practice inaction and what it doesn't mean, and give you some tips on how to do that. But first, what I'd like to do is start with a quote from spiritual teacher Ernest Holmes, and I'm going to be referencing his Science of Mind textbook, and the references in the notes below on the video. In this book, he says, one of the ancient sayings is that to the man who can perfectly practice inaction, all things are possible. This sounds like a contradiction until one penetrates its inner meaning, for it is only when one completely practices inaction that he arrives at the point of the true actor. For he then realizes that the act and the actor are one and the same, that cause and effect are the same, which is simply a different way of saying, quote, know the truth and the truth shall make you free, end quote. To reduce the whole thing to its simplest form, whatever one reflects into mind tends to take form. One of the first things I'd like to stress is that when Holmes talks about perfectly practicing inaction, he doesn't mean don't act. Don't take appropriate action. A lot of times people hear words like this and they say, oh, he means simply sitting back and doing nothing. And that's certainly not what he means here. Yes, you should still take appropriate action. As it's often said, we should pray or treat and continue to move our feet, do the things in the world that are in alignment with what we'd like to create. So when Holmes says that the actor and the act are the same, that the thought and the result are the same, what he is trying to get you to see is that we are living in a world of oneness where everything is interconnected, all is one. We tend to think that we are some person that needs to force things in the external world, and that's thinking in means of separation and duality. But when we truly move to a sense of unity consciousness and a unity awareness of oneness, then we recognize that the creator and the creation are one and the same. The person who is having the thought and the manifestation of the thought is the same. That the actor and the actual act created is the same. That there is this unity between thinking and the manifestation. So perfectly practicing inaction is not about removing ourselves from the world. It's more fully immersing ourselves into this world by recognizing that the thoughts and the results are all one. If we're stuck in the consciousness that thinks that we have to force things to happen and that we're, in a sense, pushing against the world, then that push against the world is going to create more pushback, because what we tend to resist in our lives is what tends to persist in our manifestation. That is, those things that we are arguing against tend to show up over and over and over. As long as we are thinking we've got to force something, then the world is going to force back that thing that's forcing against us. So if we're trying to manifest the right relationships, but we feel like we're trying to force it, then we're going to get more of no relationships. Or if we're trying to grow our income, but we feel like we have to force against the world to get income, then what we're going to do is get more force against our pocketbooks. It tends to reverse what it is we're trying to manifest if we're feeling like we have to force things. So perfectly practicing inaction calls us to relax, to release, to let go, to move our state into a state of flow with the universe, so that we know where we want to go and know that it's going to manifest. And we stay anchored in that awareness, knowing that the thought and the manifestation is one. And we let go of attachment to it, knowing that it's going to show up in a divine perfection. So how do we perfectly practice inaction? You know, there's an old saying that practice makes perfect. So the more that we practice inaction, the more perfect we'll get at it. And again, I want to stress that doesn't mean not acting in the world. It means taking appropriate actions in the world. So here are 3 steps for you to consider in terms of moving towards perfectly practicing inaction. Step 1 is aligning our thoughts and our actions with our intentions. What is it that you intend for your life? What is it you're trying to manifest? Think on that and then continuously bring your thoughts to continuously see that manifesting. And bring your actions in the world to knowing that it's occurring. Again, this is not about forcing it to happen, but it's to trying to bring that divine flow that says, here's what I'd like to manifest, and then my thoughts and my actions are simply currently and always in alignment with it. We tend to sometimes argue with ourselves, and I've done other videos on this topic. You can see one on the screen right now that helps with it. But we oftentimes will argue against ourselves, or we'll put into our subconscious beliefs that what we're desiring we are not worthy of getting, or we're not going to get it, or we can argue ourselves against it manifesting. Perfectly practicing inaction, step 1 really calls for you to let go of any argument that says you're not going to get what it is you're desiring, and to bring your thoughts and actions into alignment with your intention. Step 2 is releasing your attachment to forcing the outcome. You know, a lot of times we may say, I want to see the perfect job, and I see it exactly like this. And then it starts coming to us in another way, and we try to force it back into the box of what we were thinking. Yet the other opportunity may be flowing to us, and we're not open to it because the thing that would open us to what our true heart's desire is, we're pushing against to try to fit it into the box of what we think we want. So a lot of times what we need to do is to sit back and create the intention that is open at the top, open to it being flexible to what it is that we might manifest. You know, it's if you want to be a writer and you think it's going to be screenplays, it could be books or magazine articles, for example. Be open to the sense that your writings are getting out in the world and not being attached to the specific way in which they happen. That can show up for so many things because so often we try to dictate exactly what it is that we want and when we want it. And we need to release that. We need to release attachment to the timing and the specificity of it. Now, it's good to have a good visual image and as to what you're trying to create, but focus more on the feelings and the sense of what it's going to create in the world rather than the actual actions you would be doing. So, step 2, release attachments to the outcome. Finally, step 3 is to truly embody the idea that the actor and the actor one, that the thought and the manifestation is one. We tend to see everything in dualistic, that it's my mind and thinking and something occurring out there in the world. What you need to do in this step 3 is to truly bring those together so that you see it as a natural flow of thoughts, actions, results, all being one. The inner world and the outer world is one world. Whatever you can do through affirmations, prayer work, visualizations, and other techniques that are going to anchor the awareness of the oneness of all of life into your mind, into your use of the one mind, the faster you're going to be able to perfectly practice inaction. So there you have it. 3 steps which hopefully will help you move towards perfectly practicing inaction. What do you use to move you along in this direction? Leave me a comment below. And if you've got ideas for other videos, be sure to drop me a note. The email address is on the screen. Thanks for watching. Till next time. Hey, one more quick thing. I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. The link is down there on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Also, there's a related video you might want to watch. It's right next to my face. And if you like this video, be sure to click like and leave me a comment on YouTube. Thanks.